Imagine knowing exactly how your brain might degrade a full decade before you ever even forget a single memory.
Right.
Like imagine having a 10-year head start to change your lifestyle or, enter a clinical trial or just alter your biological trajectory before a disease even really has a chance to physically manifest.
Yeah, it's huge.
And, well, today's AI News Daily Digest reveals that we aren't just like moving toward that reality. We're actually kind of already there.
We are. And it is a profound shift, The conversation around artificial intelligence, it usually centers on what it can generate, like text, code, images, that sort of thing.
Right, the generative stuff.
Exactly. But what we're seeing in this digest is this massive pivot toward what AI can predict. We're moving from AI as just a generative tool to AI as this invisible predictive infrastructure.
Yeah.
An infrastructure that essentially maps out complex systems, whether that system is, your neurological health or the global labor market, or even, and we'll get to this, the narrative structure of modern cinema.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the sheer scale of what is happening across all these wildly different sectors is just, well, it's staggering. So welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is to essentially cut through the noise of the AI hype, right? And look at the actual on-the-ground mechanisms of how this technology is actively integrating into our society, like right now. And for you, the listener, we want to really nail down why this matters to your daily life.
Yeah, that's the goal. We want to synthesize all these diverse updates from the digest to uncover that broader pattern,
Oh.
cut through the noise and figure out the why.
Exactly. And to do that, I think we have to start at the most intimate level possible, which is human biology.
Absolutely.
The digest highlights this crazy breakthrough in Alzheimer's research from a leading university, and it just completely changes the timeline of the disease.
The timeline is the critical factor here, right?
Yep.
Traditionally, Alzheimer's is diagnosed behaviorally.
Like memory tests and stuff.
Right, or through very late-stage imaging. By the time a patient is actually showing clinical symptoms, the memory loss, cognitive decline, the physical damage to the brain's architecture is already really extensive.
The damage is already done.
Yeah. The biological window for any sort of meaningful intervention has largely closed by that point. But this new AI system, it's identifying the early signs of the disease up to 10 years before those traditional diagnostic methods can.
I want to stop on that for a second because that latency gap is massive, 10 years.
That's a whole decade.
But how exactly is it pulling that off? Because the source mentions it's analyzing patient genetic data alongside brain scans. But, human neurologists already look at brain scans and genetics.
Right.
So what is the AI doing differently to essentially see a decade into the future?
Well, it comes down to this concept of multimodal analysis and high-dimensional pattern recognition.
Okay, you're going to have to break that down.
I know, it sounds super technical. But basically, when a human doctor looks at an MRI, they are essentially looking for macro-level structural abnormalities, like, visible shrinkage in the hippocampus, for example.
The big stuff.
Right. But the AI isn't just looking at the picture. It's vectorizing the scan.
Meaning what?
It turns the entire three-dimensional scan into a massive mathematical matrix. So it tracks these tiny changes at the microscopic voxel level over time, and then it cross-references those completely imperceptible structural changes against a patient's specific polygenic risk score.
Oh, wow. So it's finding these correlations that are just mathematically impossible for a human eye to see.
Exactly.
It's not looking for, a giant hole in the brain. It's looking for the microscopic stress fractures in the foundation and combining that with the blueprint of the house to predict exactly when the roof is going to cave in.
That is an incredibly apt way to frame it. Yeah. It's finding statistical correlations across billions of data points that, honestly, human evolutionary biology simply hasn't equipped our brains to process all at once. And the implications for the broader medical field here are just immense. The digest also covers a tech startup that is applying this exact same algorithmic methodology to personalized cancer treatment.
Yes. And this is where the whole precision medicine angle really crystallizes for me. Because historically, cancer treatment has often relied on these really broad spectrum cytotoxins.
Yeah, the blanket approach.
Exactly. To use a mechanical metaphor, we've been trying to open a locked door by essentially blowing up the entire building with heavy radiation or chemotherapy.
Right, which works, but
it kills the cancer at the expense of devastating collateral damage to the patient's healthy cells, It's like using a sledgehammer when you need a microscopic scalpel.
Yeah, the therapeutic window, which is the dose required to kill the tumor versus the dose that actually kills the patient, is just notoriously narrow.
But this startup in the digest, they're using machine learning algorithms to swap out the explosives for like a custom printed key. They are analyzing patient data, looking at the specific transcriptomic profile of a patient's tumor. So instead of that blanket sledgehammer approach, the AI analyzes the exact molecular shape of the mutated proteins that are driving the cancer.
And then it runs the simulations.
Right. The algorithmic models simulate millions of chemical reactions to find the exact combination of therapies that will bind to and disable that specific anomaly.
It's incredible.
It really is. And for you listening, I mean, just imagine the absolute peace of mind of having a treatment plan tailored entirely to your exact genetic makeup, or having a 10-year head start against a devastating illness.
What's fascinating here is the underlying philosophical shift in how we actually define healthcare.
How do you mean?
Well, for pretty much the entire history of modern medicine, the discipline has been inherently reactive.
You're right. You get sick, you go to the doctor.
Exactly. A patient presents with a symptom, the alarm goes off, and then the physician acts to suppress the symptom or put out the fire. The bottleneck has almost always been human diagnosis and symptom latency.
Basically waiting for something to break before we even try to fix.
Precisely. But these multimodal predictive systems, they're completely redefining that biological baseline. If we can predict the molecular folding of a tumor's protein before it metastasizes, or, like we said, identify Alzheimer's a full decade before any cognitive decline.
We're totally flipping the script.
We are transitioning from a reactive model of symptom management to a highly predictive, proactive model of root cause prevention. AI is fundamentally redefining healthcare.
That is just wild to think about. But it does raise a pretty serious question about execution, right?
Sure.
Because if this AI possesses the immense computational power to map our biology and predict our health a decade in advance, well, the natural next question is, what does that kind of predictive power do to our livelihoods, to our jobs?
Yes. The economic frontier.
We have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because the anxiety surrounding automation is just palpable right now.
Oh, absolutely. Historically, whenever a general-purpose technology emerges, whether it's, the steam engine or the internet, the immediate fear is always mass labor displacement.
Everyone thinks the robots are coming for their paychecks.
Exactly. But the digest highlights a new, very comprehensive study that directly refutes that whole AI is a pure job destroyer narrative.
Right. The study actually reveals that AI is creating more jobs than it displaces, which is a huge plot twist for a lot of people.
It is.
It specifically points to these emerging fields, stuff like AI development, infrastructure maintenance, and notably this category called ethics oversight.
Yes, ethics oversight is a fascinating one.
But, okay, here's where it gets really interesting, and I have to push back a little bit on behalf of the listener who might be dealing with the real-world reality of this transition right now.
Go for it.
So the macro data might say we're creating all these jobs, but on a micro level, if someone listening is working, say, an administrative job right now or traditional manufacturing, is an ethics oversight position really a direct replacement for them?
That's the big question.
Right, because the hurdle of reskilling and upskilling the current workforce to meet these new, highly technical demands, that seems massive. What does an ethics oversight job even look like for an average person?
That pushback is entirely warranted, and honestly, the friction of this transition is very real.
Yeah.
Macroeconomic trends offer very little comfort to the individual worker whose specific daily tasks are being automated away.
Exactly. It's scary.
It is. But to answer your question, ethics oversight isn't like a philosopher sitting in an ivory tower debating morality all day.
Right.
In practice, it looks a lot more like algorithmic auditing.
Meaning what exactly? Like auditing code?
More like auditing data sets and the actual model outputs for bias and alignment.
Oh, I see.
So for instance, if a big enterprise uses an AI to screen resumes, someone has to continuously monitor that model to ensure it isn't accidentally, redlining candidates based on zip code proxies or penalizing specific demographics.
Right, because the AI doesn't know context.
Exactly. It requires what we call reinforcement learning from human feedback. The AI desperately needs human domain experts to tell it when its mathematically optimal solution is actually, socially or practically unacceptable.
So the AI might say, the most fuel-efficient route for our delivery trucks is to drive right through this quiet residential neighborhood at 3:00 a.m.
Yes.
And the human overseer has to step in and say, okay, mathematically true, but practically a disaster for our company's reputation and local noise ordinances.
That is the perfect example. If we connect this to the bigger picture, what the study is really showing is that AI is not a job destroyer, but a job transformer.
The transformer.
Okay, it commoditizes raw cognitive labor, the basic spreadsheet crunching, the simple coding, the data sorting. Because all those things are now cheap and instant, the premium in the labor market shifts heavily toward complex human judgment, domain-specific context, and, frankly, liability.
So it's kind of like the internet transition all over again. When the internet arrived, we didn't just spawn millions of jobs for, like, network engineers.
Yeah.
It changed how the marketer, the lawyer, the supply chain manager did their existing jobs. The internet was just an infrastructure layer.
And that is the crucial takeaway for the listener who might be assessing their own career trajectory right now. The goal is not necessarily to panic and try to become an AI developer,
Thank goodness.
right? The goal is to critically think about your own role. Ask yourself, not how AI might replace you, but what AI-adjacent skills you can begin cultivating today.
Identify the parts of your job that rely on human judgment.
Exactly. You future-proof your career by mastering the AI tools to handle the raw data processing, which frees you up to hyper-specialize in relationship building, strategy, and real-world adaptability.
Okay, that actually clarifies the economic reality quite a bit. It makes it feel a lot more approachable.
Oh, glad.
So we've seen how AI's immense predictive models are conquering these really data-heavy fields, right? Biology and economics.
Right.
But the digest guides us through one final pivot that pushes this technology into a totally different realm. What happens when predictive algorithms step into the uniquely human domain of pure creativity and emotion?
Yes. We are moving into the cultural frontier.
This one is wild. So the digest details that a major film studio has officially announced a movie script that was co-written by AI.
Yeah, actively stirring the pot in Hollywood right now.
Oh, completely. And the focus in the source is really on this collaborative approach, like human writers and AI working side by side.
Blending human creativity with computational power.
Exactly. So what does this all mean? I mean, I'm imagining the AI as like the ultimate Hollywood brainstorming buddy who has instantly memorized every script ever written in the history of cinema.
That's actually a great way to think about it.
Right. But it brings up a huge question for you, the listener. Like, if you were sitting in a theater, would knowing that an AI co-wrote a film change how you experience its emotional impact?
This raises an important question about the future of storytelling itself, because, the source really emphasizes that word, collaboration, not human replacement.
Right. It's a tool.
A massively powerful tool. The AI doesn't have a soul or messy lived experiences. It hasn't felt heartbreak. But it has a high-dimensional mapping of every emotional beat and narrative structure ever recorded.
So it knows exactly when the audience is supposed to cry, statistically speaking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you look at this fusion of art and technology, it suggests that AI might not be the next great screenwriter on its own. Rather, it's going to be the most powerful tool the next great human screenwriter will use.
I love that. The human provides the messy emotional reality, and the machine provides a million structurally perfect variations of how to deliver it.
Exactly.
Man, looking back over the journey of this deep dive today, the versatility of AI outlined in these sources is just incredible.
It really is. I mean, over just a decade, it's evolved to seamlessly weave through our hospitals, our offices, and now our silver screens.
Yeah, from predicting Alzheimer's 10 years out to transforming how we think about ethics in the workplace to basically co-writing the next blockbuster.
It's everywhere.
It is. And as we wrap up, I know you had a final thought based on all these sources that you wanted to leave the listener with.
I do. And it's a bit of a provocative one, something to really ponder on your own.
Let's hear it.
We spent today looking at these themes in isolation, right? Healthcare, labor, entertainment. But if AI is analyzing our genetics to feel us, and analyzing our workforce ethics to employ us, and analyzing our creativity to entertain us, what happens when these systems begin to talk to each other?
Oh, wow.
Will there soon be a time when an AI understands the entire sum of who you are, your body, your career, and your imagination?
Yeah.
Better than you understand yourself?
Wow, that is a heavy, fascinating place to leave it. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We really hope digging into this gives you a clearer lens on the world we're building. Stay curious, keep exploring, and we'll catch you on the next one.